Good morning once again, good people of a great nation. This is Development Focus with Jide Ojo on ITV. Should I say, before we go into this second discussion segment, that this program is open up for advert placement as well as sponsorship. If you are very delighted with what we are doing on the show, please come do business with us. We need the support. You know what it is. Doing business in Nigeria is not easy. So please come talk to us. Our advert and marketing department is waiting to have you come discuss with them, and your programs and products and activities will be showcased on this show. This second segment brought a civil society juggernaut to come and help us to extract exactly. It's an introspection that we want to do. We want to look at the past in order to project to the future. The millennials among us, do you even know what June 12 represents? Just 2 days ago, the president, announced, gave his last Democracy Day speech on Sunday, June 12. And on Monday, we observed a public holiday. You millennials, the youth of Nigeria, who is less than 30 years, do you know what June 12 represents in the annals of history of Nigeria? So I brought an historian who will tell us all about that. But we are also going to be looking at the last 23 years of our Fourth Republic. How have we fared? Before we now look at, what does June 12 and Democracy Day mean for the future of Nigeria's electoral process? So I have with me Mr. Gbenro Olajuyibe. He's a civil society activist, he's an author, he's a writer, he's an analyst, he's so many things rolled into one. I got to know about him when he was working with Action Aid Nigeria. Now he's on his own. Mr. Olajuyibe, you're welcome on the show.
It's a pleasure being with you here.
Thank you for having. Thank you for honoring our invitation. So tell us about yourself. Who is actually Gbenro Olajuyibe?
Well, I'm a Nigerian and a committed one for that matter, who have decided to activate a citizenship to make contribution to the Nigerian project or progress. But having said that, personally I've engaged in some works. I've worked with the government in the Federal Ministry of Education. I left several years ago. And also I have aided Action Aid humanitarian and resilience, conflict and emergency theme or department, whatever people choose. But before then, I've done a lot of things, including being the special advisor to the National Legal Advisor of National Republican Convention, the third in the Third Republic.
Third Republic. Oh,
it was checkered because I have to leave when I saw something which I may talk about later. So I was a witness to that history. Not a distant victory. So June 12 is not episodic. There are build up to June 12 that came that could have given Nigerians that sign, that early warning signal that Babangida was not committed to the transition, the longest transition in the history of Nigeria that took 7 years. A transition that was born out of outright deception to keep himself in power, to stabilize the regime, and to ensnare Nigerians into believing that a transition that will end up well was going on. But some of us who at least who play some role inside, I didn't get there as politician. The National Legal Advisor, of course, is late now. Barrister Olagunju was my father's friend. My father was a politician in the Second Republic. And,
in Ondo State?
in Ondo State. Not necessarily, he was the vice chairman of National Republican Convention in the old Ondo State.
Wow.
And then he was he was deputy to the current chief, Afe Babalola. Wow. Afe Babalola was a he entered into policy, he didn't stay well long enough. So the man has equally contributed his own thing. Of course, it was my dad that he consulted, that he wanted me. I was in Lagos. I was with one management consulting firm. And he said I should come and become national special advisor. I said I wasn't a lawyer. So he said I can function. He has known me from birth and everything. Truly, it was my father, or even older than my dad then. So I accepted the responsibility. I came in that mode, but then I was very hot-headed and I couldn't tolerate a lot of things.
You are still hot-headed even in your old age. I don't know. Because when I read your post on social media, I said this Egbo will not leave this place. you are forever saying it's the way it is. So you are now on your own after
yes, not yes, but with an organization, Emergency and Risk Alert.
Okay.
So I'm the executive director of that organization.
That's good.
So I consider myself to be working for that organization.
Okay.
And then largely consulting too.
Okay.
For organization
so what
and
do you
institutions.
do? What's your is it on conflict issue or what?
It's on governance. Is of course astonishingly, I have led the production of led and deliver on UN Resolution 1325, which is gender related, women's security and peace in 3 states. In Nasarawa, in Kogi. I produced that for Kogi. I led the production for Kogi in 2018. That for Nasarawa in 2020. Early this year, I did for Kwara. So women's rights, gender and women's rights, I'm at home with it. I'm at home with governance. I'm at home with humanitarian work. Of course, that is the core area which I have done. Of course, my master's degree is equally on humanitarian and refugee studies. So throughout my stay in National Aid, I was National Aid for a long time, bit over a decade.
Wow.
So I've supported countries, Sierra Leone, when they emerge from wars, and other countries that have similar challenges, which context relates to humanitarian challenges, including crisis areas and everything. And of course, I have attended courses in Nigeria and outside the country, severally related to that, and of course, broad-based governance issues of the young people. So I'm at home with that. But particularly now, I'm comfortable with projecting the rights of women, whether in the context of conflict, in the context of peace. So I'm at home with that.
So now tell us what your experience was. You talked about the build-up to June 12, 1993.
Yeah.
You were a witness to all that happened before, during, and after.
Yeah.
So can you share that experience with Nigerians who are watching us?
Yeah, I think particularly the young people who are not witness to that history, who just hear about June 12 and everything. We are talking of a country that has been governed by military personnel for a long time. From there was interregnum between after Obasanjo handed over the power to Shagari for about 5 years. There was First Republic. I don't want to go to that.
Yeah, of course, 13 years of military rule
in the
between 1966 and
1979.
Then about
5 years,
83 to
and everything.
90.
So when Babangida came in as part of that military government in 1985, he He was sure.
August 27, 1985.
Yes, he was sure of history he wanted to make. But then, those history were built around himself. First of all, he came in as a president, which was a antithesis to.
How can you be a military man? Instead of saying you are head of state, you say you are a president.
Yes,
a military president.
Yes, he was looking for legitimization of his of a military government, wearing the face of so-called civilian and everything. But then, in 1986, he came up with the idea of transition program.
Political bureau.
He established the political bureau, 17-member
bureau.
Yes, he established that to look at the failure of democracy in Nigeria, to look at that and everything. Within the period, don't forget, he started eulogizing the political leaders of that time, including Chief Obafemi Awolowo on his birthday. So he did that, and the political bureau came up with
1987.
What Nigeria political system should look like, and not only what in terms of ideology, in terms of composition, in terms of direction, in terms of what is getting. After receiving that, he now said that invited people to come and form political parties. If you remember, before SDP and PDP, SDP and NRC, people came out to form. In fact, they were, I think, principally we have majorly about 4 political associations at that time.
Yes.
I know I can still remember Liberal Democratic Party,
Grassroots Democratic Party,
National Front, Patriotic Front, all those type of
fronts.
Yes. So he did
that. And don't forget, he also banned the old breed.
That is it. In fact,
I brought the new breed.
Yes,
banned.
So the concept of even not too young to run is not new.
It's not those new. Of us because who then he was saying that. Okay, well, I've been told that we need to go on short commercial break so that we can make some money. Otherwise, so I'll be back in a bit. Let's take this short commercial break. Thank you. Welcome back from that break. So, you are walking us through that history of political bureau, the new breed, the old breed, and then
even the new breed, the concept of new breed came. That is, the man planned how to stabilize his tenure. Not that he was interested in a terminal date for any transition. It was an elongated transition. Yes, if there is a bit of progress, any hiccup is going to intervene. Don't forget, when the first thing he did before that was to actually, the 4 political associations, he threw them away. Based on the so-called report of the then NEC, National Electoral Commission. And NEC then was now, I have never seen that before, given the responsibility of writing constitution for imaginary 2 political parties that he envisaged then. So those are after that, they came up with ideas of 2 political parties, although the National Political Bureau actually recommended 2 political parties.
One to the right and
one to the left, which was and
then they should be funded.
Even that they should be funded, of course.
By the state.
How can a leftist party be funded by the state? Because even the ideology is contradictory.
So anyway, let's fast track because there's still a lot to chew. So it was under Babangida. We also have Center for Democratic Studies,
headed by Omoroi,
Professor Omoroi. And people have said that we need to revive that kind of Center for Democracy. That all our leaders, like all these people who have emerged as candidates, before the election or after the election, should go for like a 1 month, induction course in democratic studies.
Yeah, let me be frank. The ingredient that was lacking in Babangida's transition was sincerity. Outside that, the concept was rich. The template and the framework for implementation, so superb. You could get a lot of things, but at the end of the day, they ended as beautiful nonsense because of his attitude, because of non-sincerity. Why I'm saying this, look at that institution you just mentioned, Center for Democratic Study, could have raised a lot of leaders, political leaders, that are conscious of what development represents, conscious of what party system should look like, conscious of what governance should be, what should be delivered, and the responsibility of citizens and that of political actors. So it was an embracing, rich, robust political project, but ended by a non-committer.
Okay, so now let's fast track. This transition began in 86.
Yeah, ended in
93.
Yeah.
But between 1990 and 1993 June, there were already
elected governors.
Governors, elected
state assemblies.
State assembly,
yes.
Elected senators,
and House of Representatives.
And then even it was only the presidency that was left, that was still being held by the military.
Yes.
So that was a kind of diarchy, isn't it?
It was not a kind. It was actual diarchy. Okay. Because you remember that even though the House of the National Assembly was just in existence for nothing,
he was still keeping. You as Senate President,
they were toothless bulldog.
Ebute took over from him.
What were you still doing with Armed Forces
Ruling Council
when you have this thing? So it was firmly a diarchy that in which the civilian composition is extremely impotent. So he was just using that to buy time, and Nigeria we are feeling that, okay, even within the military, he knew that the concept of coup, carrying out coup at that time, was minimal. The risk was low because they felt that, oh, this man was heading towards a trajectory, democratic trajectory. But
so let's leave all those because they belong to the past now. What would you say were the lessons? Yeah. Okay, so we had this June 12, 1993 presidential election. We've talked about the build-up, but can you run us through the immediate period, those court injunctions, the Association for Better Nigerians headed by the late Francis Otto Zeribe and Abimbola Davis, and all of those, and what the role of courts were in truncating that transition? You
know, we have discussed about how Babangida, even though there are people that were contesting for election and everything, at that particular time, he threw all of them away. Agbala Jobi in Lagos, Sarumi, all of those people that were, he has done that before. And the concept of him not going was in his mind. And he came out with these two political parties. Those two political parties had no mind of their own. That was part of his design. I knew that he particularly assigned, because I attended 2 of the meetings at the Dam Barracks with my boss and 2 other people. That is the one I was able to attend to. Almost every week he will be summoned. How do you run such a political party? At times I don't know what they discuss, especially when the principal officers were, but it was Augustus Aikomu, that was dedicated for that deliberation with political parties. He oversaw the activities of that political party, reported back to Babangida, and at the end of the day, because there's no time, if I say a lot of in-house confusion that were created before the one that the public did not actually see, the political party were confused. They were getting the sense, but the leaders of those political parties are aware of the direction of the president, of the then head of state, Babangida, until the annulment. But the principal lesson we should begin to look from, learn from that annulment is that Nigerians should own their system.
Their political system.
Their political system. Particularly, let me be specific. We should own democracy. We have learned nothing. Because, one, Babangida was a military, he was able to dictate. But today, we have a semblance of Babangida, but what the instrument for that dictatorship now is money. And we have seen it from the
party primaries
and everything. We have a party primary where a president, not even this current one alone, before, can determine who will be a governor. But that is not the concept of democracy. So we don't even own our democracy. And when you complain to people, they will tell you that because people are poor, they can easily be bribed. And I've made it clear several times that people are not enslaved because they are poor, but they are poor because they are enslaved. So slavery is still going on within the political system that is being controlled by the powerful political actors to the detriment of the so-called people who should be the subject of democracy. The people are currently object of democracy, purchasable, possessable, and at the same time can be owned. So we don't own the democracy that we have. And before you can actually own the democracy too, one of the things that was, we could excuse the military, but we cannot excuse ourselves from learning lessons from democracy. Okay,
so let's learn the right lesson. If I can bring our viewers up to speed, this election held under what is called option A4.
Yes.
You queue behind the aspirants of your choice, or it's posters, there is a vote count, and then it's recorded. People have been saying we should bring back option A4. What's your take on that?
The context is quite different. The context of peace we enjoy, we don't enjoy now. The dimension of diversity management that we had then, we don't have it now. So you can even bring them now and you will see people jumping like we have seen recently, counting after 30 going to 100. Nigeria were committed. Nigeria were not a bad people at that particular time. Without...
So again, option A4 is not meant for the 21st century.
The context will not accept that.
Because I was thinking about
because if
violence,
you want to do
violence.
How do you manage election in conflictive areas now?
Like Borno,
like even the East, even where everybody is apprehensive of gathering now, any part of the country.
So option A4 is not there. Muslim ticket. Abiola fielded King Gibe as his running mate against all expectation, and it was custom to victory, of course, by the action of President Muhammadu Buhari. Is referred to as a former president. That's Abiola. Now, it's on the table now. In the recent days, in the past few days, APC is in a dilemma. That they are saying, oh, the best shot for APC is to have a Muslim ticket. Now that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the standard bearer of APC, he needs to look for a strong northern Muslim to be able to defeat an Atiku Abubakar. Do you think Muslim ticket will still sell in 29 years after?
Well, that's what I want to say. We lost opportunity in Abiola's elections annulment by Babangida because, one, that was actually what the first turning point in Nigeria national integration. It brought all Nigerians of all tribes, Nigerians of all religion, brought us together. Abiola did not beat Tofa in Kano. He beat Tofa in his polling booth. So Tofa was a Muslim. He was a northerner. Abiola defeated him. But today, we are so divided, deeply divided, to the extent that Muslim ticket to Christian now look like a blasphemy. Yes, because one, and you don't blame everybody. We have mutual mistrust. We don't trust ourselves again. Secondly, look at the context of violence we have in Nigeria, particularly the
ethno-religious violence,
religious violence, and even the terrorists we have now. They are right-wing Islamic crusader. They are right-wing in the sense that
ISWAP.
I'm talking of whether you call it ISWAP, whether you call it Boko Haram. They are all the same, leaning towards a tendency because
of a
caliphate, and that is what they profess. And one thing I've learned in conflict analysis, you call actors what they call themselves. So you don't remove from it if you want to solve problem. This idea of rationalizing it, they don't understand Quran, they don't understand this. It's badadash.
They are bandits, they are not terrorists.
There are all those manifestation of political deception. So you don't call, there's no need to color it, to color what they are. And that is why what we are not getting right. And once you have a nation like that, once you have a nation that is being a projection of suprematism, whether of religion, whether of ethnicity, you have a problem. And that problem is what you should solve first, until you are able to bring Nigeria together to one table and discuss the problem and let a new structure that is tenable, that is acceptable, that is convenient for people, and not only realistic, but people who own that decision. You are not going to have a progressively united Nigeria. And that is why some of us have been talking of restructure Nigeria. Because through that, you are going to address the insecurity in Nigeria. You are going to, the mutual fears, you are going to address them. And of course, the development that has been eluding us, you are going to have that. And until then, we can never, in fact, it is anachronistic to compare this period with June 12th.
So you will not advise APC to go for Muslim today?
I can't, but if they go, I have said it. What is the essence of winning election and then losing governance? You can win election with whatever you think, but when your people are, that's why we are not achieving anything. One people building, another pulling down. That is what the problem in Nigeria, because there is no inclusion is absence. So when there is a social exclusion of anybody using any parameter, and a very deep sense of injustice, you can't make progress. And diversity is envisaged by our constitution.
Okay, let me pause you on that. We need to go on short commercial break. We will be back shortly to conclude this discussion. So we are back from that short commercial break. Please, like I said, do come do business with us. This program is up for advert placement and sponsorship. So, Gbero, we were on the trajectory. Lessons from June 12, 1993. Yes. Maybe I should allow you to run us through. What are those lessons we can learn from June 12, June 12, 1993 presidential election?
Yes, I've just said it. Based on the antecedent of Babangida, it's telling us that nobody is good enough to be trusted with power in democracy. That is number one lesson we should have. And two, we should know that the best of power is power that is shared. Democracy envisages that power will be shared, and not that you have one hydra-headed symbol of democracy. That the true symbol, people should come up that they own democracy. You don't look now. Currently, we are having challenges, but Nigeria has become accountability-free zone. Nobody is holding the president accountable. Nobody is looking at the context of crisis and violence and death, killings daily, to say that why don't we amend our constitution to the extent that we put in our constitution that in any quarter that extrajudicial death of more than 30 persons is recorded, the president stand impeached or removed. And that if it is between 10 and 20, then the president will be queried or it will be taken through impeachment process, because you have responsibility to protect. You can't just be writing condolence letter.
There's
in
a
a
template
democracy.
for that now.
Do you get it? 50 people died. Benue 30. Kaduna so amount. 60 people after the release of 11. About 60 are still in with the terrorists in the forest.
Over 2 months.
Over 2 months. And then what's the essence of government? The essence of government, you see, if like it's written in American Constitution, you get it now. When it comes to a stage, when this thing we have agreed on, the Constitution has become so ineffective that it can't work for us, it's better to dissolve such union and write another Constitution. So when people
we
accountability,
we need accountability and transparency.
Yes.
We need a restructuring.
Yes.
You have said that. You need
people
a new constitution.
Yes.
You need a new constitution. So what else do we need?
People becoming the center rod of democratic will.
So it should be participatory democracy.
It should be participatory democracy.
You have talked about shared power.
And beyond participation, people in the context of that participation, people are the master. That is why democracy, as defined by Jefferson, is government of the people. So people put the government there, not dollar, not money, by the people. It is what the people want to hear, and for the people.
Interestingly, Benro, if you read Babangida's speech dissolving, annulling June 12, he did lay claim that, look, in 1992, at the Just Convention, money was working on all fours, that a lot of monetization of the electoral process took place then. And he advanced that, because I've read his annulment, June 12, 1993 annulment speech, that it was part of the reason why the Armed Forces Ruling Council, or is it Supreme Military Council, decided to annul the election because of the high monetization way back then in 1992. Now, what are we seeing in 2022?
But let me respond to Babangida. Does it make sense? Why didn't you nip it in the bud?
As at that time,
and save us of this horror, calamity that befell Nigeria, and that calamity is what we are paying for. That is why it is difficult for people to be brought together now. Nigeria was coming to be united by June 12th, but you throw spanner on the wheel of national integration, and you are talking balderdash. It should have nailed it at the point of primary so that the country could be saved from the horror that we went through. Okay. So it wasn't sincere, but that is not to remove the fact that monetization of the process is not new. It's not new. It has been done in several ways, but it has never been as bad as this.
Okay. Now, people have also called for funding of political parties. That after all, Babangida funded the NRC and SDP, built them offices. That is a model that what Nigerians actually need is two-party system. We don't need all this multi-party democracy. Let's have two-party system. Let government fund them so that no money bag will be able to hijack them. Because that was the thinking of the political bureau in bringing up the idea of two-party states. If you read their report,
that thought is not backed by submission is not backed by deep thought. Assuming that you have political party too now, and government is funding it, and that same government is in power, funding the two political parties. Abba, do you think there will be no partiality? More funds will go to his party, and beyond that, that has given room for democracy to be cowed, to be owned by government. And that was one lesson we should learn. I've said it, democracy is about the people. Until people begin to, and you don't blame Nigerians who are not making contribution to political party fund now.
Okay.
Why it is so? They don't see government that has worked for them. So it is those who want to buy power that donate now. Ordinary Nigerians don't care. But if you have a system, I'm talking of after restructure, because this current system cannot self-correct. It can only self-destruct. It can't correct itself. It is incurably defective.
This system is not programmed to self-correct.
It's not. It's going to get worse. And more, it seems as even the law has collapsed. We hear it, we see it, no arrest, no prosecution, nothing. So if they are inducing people, even if government is funding political party, with the government that is in power funding political party, go and arrest his own candidate.
So as we wrap up, because we have just barely a few minutes left, what are the lessons for us to take as we prepare for 2023 general elections? Because we are in the heat of that now. In the next couple of weeks, we'll start campaigns. And that campaigns will last for 5 months, and then we will have elections next time, February and March. What are the lessons from June 12th, the Democracy Day, and then what should we do differently if we want to get a better result in 2023?
Well, I can't see better result coming. The reason is this. What you put in is what you are going to get. You know, you have been in election work for years. The option that Nigeria will be given will be the option that this corrupted process, primary election process, will foist on them. So it's going to, you are going to choose maybe the least corrupt person. Because they compromise the monetarily, they compromise the primary system. And now it has come up and everything. And I have said it, the ideas of not too young to run, I wasn't with them because it didn't come through
organically.
Yes, and good analysis. Now, you wanted too young to run. You have gotten it. But the same people who destroyed the system that made you excluded and bringing in their children, who never participated even in the movement that brought about not too young. So the first thing to get right, until we are able to clean our structure, rejig our structure, clean our system, there will be no platform for ordinary patriotic Nigerians to come into this political system. So
okay, so we just celebrated 23 years of democracy. This is my last time. In 30 seconds, if you can answer, what is your take on 23 years of this Fourth Republic? 23 years. What have we achieved? What have we gained?
The triumph of democratic autocracy. That is what we have achieved.
Okay, that would be it. Igbera said, he said this is the triumph of democratic autocracy. I've learned so many vocabulary from you. You said this system cannot birth any self-correct system that is self-destruct. We pray that we will not self-destruct. That will be the size of our program, Development Focus with Jide Ojo on ITV today, 15th of June 2022. Please, I want to thank you, Benro Olajue, for coming on the show.
It's
like
a
I
pleasure
said,
being
this
with
program is all for sponsorship and advance placement. Come do business with us. Until next week when I bring a fresh edition to your viewing pleasure. Stay tuned, stay safe, and stay blessed.